On everyone. So the Brooklyn Nets are a disaster this year, right? They've only won one game out of their last 10. They are currently out of the play-in. They are the 11th seed behind the Atlanta Hawks. They're a full game behind Atlanta. And really, it's just time to rebuild for the Brooklyn Nets, right? Now, if they were strapped with a bunch of just like 22, 23-year-olds, right, then it's like, yeah, keep them, grow them, develop them, give them time to kind of come into their own. The problem is that most of their key guys aren't, right? Like Mikal Bridges, for example. Mikal Bridges is not 22. He's 27. So let's say it takes 2 or 3 years for you to get to the position in which, you can maybe become a contender, right? If it takes 2 or 3, Bridges is 30 now, right? Which isn't old, but is that the best position for you to be in, right? And what moves are you going to expedite in order to kind of turn your franchise around, right? I just think personally, it's time for the Nets to just hit that reset button. Be one of the sellers. There are tons of teams right now that are interested in buying. I think now would be as good time as ever, right? Look at teams like the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls and teams like that last season, even Toronto, right? Last season, they should have done it, right? And they didn't. And now this year, it's like, well, now they're struggling to get rid of Zach LaVine. Toronto was able to get off of Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, and they got good returns for both of them, but it wasn't the type of returns that we heard last season, right? OG Anunoby was getting offers for like 4 first-round picks and like a player or two, right? Like they probably would have gotten a much bigger return. Maybe not hugely significant, but they would have, right? And it's kind of where I feel with the Brooklyn Nets right now, right? Look, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson are incredible, but they're both 27. If they were 24, no, keep them. It would be silly. But you could probably get a nice haul in return for both of these guys. Both of these guys are, especially Mikal Bridges, right? You could probably get a pretty solid return, right? Pascal Siakam just went for 3 firsts and Bruce Brown, right? You don't think Mikal Bridges, you don't think Mikal Bridges, who is under contract, may I add, right? He's not a guy that is a free agent and could just leave like Pascal Siakam is. So, and I'm not even saying like, who do you think is better or anything like that. It's just, he is a premier 3-and-D style guy in this league that would draw a ton of demand, that's having a very good season. He's only making just under 22 million this year, so he'd be incredibly obtainable for most teams. You could probably generate a realistic bidding war. This is a guy that's averaging just shy of 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. A guy that can just be a perfect third complement role type guy on a real championship contending team. Right? Same thing with Cam Johnson. I think you could get a pretty solid. You would get as solid of a return as you would for Mikal Bridges, but I definitely think you could probably get, maybe a player in a first for Johnson, right? Or maybe a quality player in a couple seconds or something like that. Mikal Bridges, I think you could probably get at least 2 firsts for and maybe some solid quality young piece that could make some sense. There are several teams that you could probably get just some pieces for. And they have all kinds of stuff that I think would be very valuable to many teams, right? Obviously, Mikal Bridges would be the big prize. Cam Johnson would be another good, solid prize. But even like Royce ONeal and Dorian Finney-Smith, who they are currently shopping, those two are available. Like both of these guys, I think could get you some nice quality young players wherever you get it from. I think these are two guys that, you could probably sell to a team that needs some wing depth, that needs some 3-point shooting. Both of these guys are having solid seasons in that regard. Legit 3-and-D, some of the premier 3-and-D guys in this league as far as rotation players go. Two guys that I think could help most contenders in the league. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they got a solid return for these. Now, honestly, I think that their asking price currently is just too much. I think that's why no one's really kind of pushed for either of these guys, right? They want like 2 first, if I'm not mistaken, for Dorian Finney-Smith. You're not getting 2 first for Dorian Finney-Smith, right? Again, I think you could probably get a solid return. Maybe you could get 1 first or a solid player in 2 seconds or something like that, right? Get a nice young piece that could make sense, or just stack up draft picks. If you basically unloaded your entire roster and you walked away with like 6 or 7 firsts, like, you're in great shape. Great shape. And look, you could have 6 or 7 firsts and you would still have a nice young core, right? To me, I would try to unload. If you can trade Spencer Dinwiddie, trade Spencer Dinwiddie. If you can trade Finney-Smith, trade Finney-Smith. Trade Mikal Bridges, trade Mikal Bridges. If you could trade Cameron Johnson, trade Cameron Johnson. Royce ONeal, basically all of your veteran guys. Get rid of all of them. And you would still have some pretty good young pieces, right? You'd still have Watford, right? You'd still have Cam Thomas, right? Cam Thomas is, he's 22, right? And he's averaging like 20 points a game. So you could have Cam Thomas, right? You could have Nick Claxton. You could have, you could even keep guys like Harry Giles if you wanted to, right? Basically, my point is you keep the young guys and you unload everyone else and you hit a new reset button and you kind of build around Nick Claxton, Cam Thomas, who's their rookie was Noah Clowney, right? Go get Noah Clowney. You have Jalen Wilson, right? You have multiple guys that you could, grow, develop, kind of run with, add some new quality pieces from multiple other teams, and just hit that reset button, in my opinion, right? Just start the rebuild. Go get a guy and go get talent that is young, youthful, that, go get a Grimes, right? Somebody that's young that you could add to your core pieces, like players like that, right? Just start getting nice, young, quality pieces. Go stack up on some draft picks, right? Put yourself in a position to where, 4 or 5 years from now, you are in a real position to maybe be a contender. Because they're just, what are your other options? You're going to trade the young guys, which none of them are really making significant money to make that make sense, right? Yeah, you could unload Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce ONeal and stuff like that and maybe get a nice return, but you're not going to get any, superstar. There's talks about them maybe being interested in a DeJounte Murray. For what? DeJounte Murray is not going to, you're not going to trade for DeJounte Murray and all of a sudden be a super team, right? You're not going to trade for DeJounte Murray and all of a sudden go from an 11th seed to a top 2 or 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. It's not. You need multiple pieces, genuinely. Or you need that one just superstar. Right, if they would have traded for Donovan Mitchell or Damian Lillard or something like that, because Dame was interested in going there, then yes, I would say push chips to the table, make it happen. And maybe you can make an argument that they should wait it out and see, what if Donovan Mitchell becomes available in the offseason? Then it's you could go get Donovan Mitchell now. You got Donovan Mitchell. You got Mikal Bridges. Or maybe you could keep Cam Johnson in that deal, right? Okay, then maybe, but it's just for what? Again, what is Donovan Mitchell and Mikal Bridges enough to win you an NBA championship? Right? Is it? I don't think so. Right? Now, granted, maybe if you get some other pieces around, but again, what are you doing, right? If Ben Simmons turned into all-star prime Ben Simmons, then maybe, you'd have a better chance. But even then, it's okay, right? Ben Simmons, let's say Philly Ben Simmons Donovan Mitchell, Mikal Bridges, maybe, yeah, okay, you're pretty good, but how good are you? Right? How great are you? I'm not super sold. And I mean, even speaking on Ben Simmons, right? Like, look at it like this. You go and you trade basically everybody. You keep Cam Thomas. You keep Nick Claxton. You keep the 2 rookies. Right? And you stack up as many young talent and as many draft picks as possible. Let's say that the Nets end up with like 5 first-round picks, right? And they end up with, whatever, 2 or 3 nice quality young players, right? So now let's say you have 5 first plus everything else that you have pick-wise from like the KD deal and the Kyrie deal and stuff like that. Well, then next season, you would have a $40 million expiring salary along with multiple first round, like 7, 8 first round picks, maybe a couple young guys. So you could go 2 options. Maybe a star becomes available and you go get that guy, and now you just kind of try to expedite the rebuild and get that guy, right? Or the other alternative is you can continue to stack up and you basically just, hey, we have a $40 million expiring contract. Do you want to get off of some salary? I'm sure that there would be several teams next season that are going to want to get off a couple long-term. I mean, a team like Chicago, if they can't trade Zach LaVine, do they just go, hey, man, like, we could trade for Ben Simmons and just get off of his contract, right? Maybe throw him a first and kind of hit their reset button. Again, just using him as an example. Or, any type of just long-term salary, right? Like, let's say Atlanta trades DeJounte Murray, but they're not able to trade several other pieces, right? Like, they have a couple long-term salary. Like, maybe they can unload guys because they want to just kind of clear cap space, right? Having a $40 million expiring contract could hold some real value. You could be one of those teams that takes on a couple bad contracts that teams signed and get a couple more firsts out of it, or maybe get a first out of it. And now you're sitting pretty. Now it's like, okay, well, we got some real young talent. We have like 10 first round picks over the next like 5 years or whatever. And let's expedite this rebuild. Let's try to draft great with Sean Marks and stuff. And let's go try to be a contender in, the next 3 to 5 years. Because, I mean, you could try to do that now. But again, at that point, like, what kind of player is Mikal Bridges? What kind of player is Cam Johnson? Right? Cam Johnson's had a ton of injuries and injury history. Right? Now, those 2 guys are both, 32, 33. Right? Like, it's just, to me, I think Brooklyn has a bunch of valuable pieces that many teams would be jumping at if they made them available. And I think personally they should just hit that reset button, be sellers at the trade deadline. You're not winning anything this year. You're probably not winning anything next year either, unless for whatever reason Donovan Mitchell and like Joel Embiid decide, I want to be Brooklyn Nets. Then it's like, okay, well, let's go make that happen, right? But unless something crazy like that happens, I just think hit the reset button, hit the rebuild button, or trade everyone else and keep Bridges, right? Get some assets, get some pieces, and then if you want to, if somebody big or important becomes available, you have like a ton of first round picks and Ben Simmons' contract, and maybe go get that, right? Like, let's say Donovan Mitchell wants out and he wants to go to Brooklyn, right? You have Ben Simmons' contract and you got like 5 or 6 first round picks, right? You got Mikal Bridges. Maybe you could sign another star in the offseason and you're off to the races. I don't know. It's just a thought. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think, like, yeah, right? Time for Brooklyn to hit that reset button. Just isn't happening this year? Trade them while you can type thing. Or do you think, no, like, be patient, just wait. You're not winning anything anyway. So, which I do understand that argument, right? Like, it's like, what's the point? You're not winning anything anyway. So, wait for the right deal, wait for the right move. Maybe Donovan Mitchell comes in the offseason, or maybe Joel Embiid becomes unhappy if he loses in the first round again or something. I do understand that to an extent, but, I just think hit the reset button. If those guys become available, figure it out. Maybe you can work it out to get both of them if you have enough picks. Or if one of them become available, I don't think you're a contender, right? So, I don't know. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. So, let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.